Florida did not play this week, so Billy Napier still remains the number one. Like, he's dead man walking. His time is pretty much over. The two in question that I had the most when it came to coaches on the hot seat were, and I think are for the rest of the country, are Sam Pittman and Dave Aranda. And both of them had close losses this week. And Arkansas and A&M was close, and probably closer than it would have been a year ago if this A&M team had played last year's Arkansas team.
Right.
So you can see the improvements that Sam Pittman has made. I just don't think, especially with Talon Green and his potential, that you're going to get to see him have another chance at it. And due in large part that was the last game that they're going to play at AT&T Stadium, which we're all relieved about. College games belongs on college campuses. And to have that series have never been played since the SEC started in Fayetteville or College Station, to me is
it's stupid.
It's silly. Like, I get doing it, maybe for a couple years, but to do it for over a decade, a little bit too long. I know they were trying to make it like Texas and OU.
But there's only one. Like, you can't.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't just be like, oh, hey, here's a band just like the Rolling Stones. There's only one Rolling Stones. Like, oh, here's a movie just like The Godfather. Well, no, there's only one Godfather. Like, it's unique. I mean, I guess there is. Godfather 2 is just like it, but still good. But, like, here's a series just like that. You can't just make it again.
Right.
Like, you can't just recreate it with different elements, too. Even though they're both great fan bases, Arkansas and A&M. So, but I think that Arkansas has only won that thing. I mean, they've won it far less than A&M has. A&M's dominated that game at AT&T Stadium in front of one of Arkansas's biggest, most wealthy supporters in his own house in Jerry Jones. And especially given what they just did with basketball and how they went all out for that, I think maybe that's coming for football as well. And unfortunately for Sam Pittman, who is a guy that everybody likes, but they're just not winning at that clip. And the SEC's now gotten tougher, and they've lost to A&M. They're playing Texas later in the year. That's probably not going to go well. And the people who have the money, and this is like the new students probably don't care as much about the Texas rivalry.
Oh, no.
But
the old money.
But the old money does.
Yes.
Like, the old money, and look, they've beaten Texas a couple times when they've renewed over the years. But now it's a conference game again. It means something. More than likely, Texas is going to drill them when they play later in the year. And that's another thing that's not going to go over well. And you don't want to make decisions in the moment, but, I mean, really. Like, just like this has gotten to the point where they can't beat A&M on a regular basis. Texas is now back in. Oklahoma's in. Like, all these things are happening to them. They've gotten LSU a couple times, but as you go down the list of rivals that they have, like the most important games, like, they don't beat Tennessee. They're not going to beat, they're not really beating Missouri all that often. Like, so, like, I can get further out and be like, they've only beaten Florida like once. They barely, I don't know if they've ever beaten Georgia, or when the last time they beat Georgia was, so.
I don't know how you sell Arkansas to recruits.
Yeah.
That's what I don't get. And it's nothing against Sam Pittman. I think he's done a good job there. But at the same time, like, I think he's also one of those guys that when the landscape shifted, it took away what gave him an edge. He hasn't been able to adapt and make it work. I also think you bring up a good point from the financial standpoint. They've put more money into basketball than they have football, and it's like they're just waiting for the right guy to come in there. You were hoping you were able to get the offense rolling with Petrino. It's been better, but it's still not what they want to see up there and what can win you consistently for the Hogs. And also think when you have people from coaches who are from that state who are having success right now. When you look at Gus Malzahn, and I know they're just coming off that loss we just talked about, but at UCF, you also have a Rhett Lashley, what he's been able to do at SMU in a short time. Like, those are two guys who people in Arkansas would love to get up there. They would love to throw money behind. You got Jeff Traylor, who's in the mix as well, who's coached there as well, and is just waiting for his opportunity to go somewhere with big money behind it and see what he can do. So, yeah, I mean, it's a tough time right now if you're Sam Pittman. But at the same time, like, I think you know what you're going to get with Arkansas with him at the helm, and you've got to take it a step further because right now it's just not going to get it done. And unfortunately, you're going to have to move on from him after the season if you want to have some success.
Yeah, and you can recruit anywhere if you have the right guy, right? You can recruit anywhere if you have the right guy, but it's just they're just not on it. I would not be surprised to see Gus Malzahn's name.
Oh, you got to call Gus.
Yeah, throw in that mix this weekend notwithstanding. And given the a couple of tweets I got from UCF fans this week, I don't think they'd be as mad as they would have been like a year ago.
I think they better pump the brakes because you don't want to lose Gus.
Yeah,
if you're UCF.
I know.
Pump the brakes.
But yeah, I think that, and look, I think also they're mad because they lost to Dion.
That's exactly what it is.
I mean, it's not. It isn't rocket science figuring out why you're madder about this one than you would be about some others. You're mad because you lost to Dion.
Yep.
And Dion, here's the thing. I thought Dion was setting himself up for the ultimate burn when he was like, yeah, most of their recruits signed up because they want to come and see us. Just saying that out loud, I'm like, all right, well,
I mean, that's
but I was like, yeah, when RJ Harvey runs for 225 on you, you're going to be like, oh, okay, maybe you wish that wouldn't have happened. And then they went out and kicked their ass.
Yeah.
So
he totally flipped it on him, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's ridiculous.
If you can do it, you can do it, I guess, But yeah, I think Sam Pittman's in trouble. Another coach in the SEC, I think, is in trouble and gets more so by the week, even though they played better this week and still lost, is Auburn.
Oh, yeah. Hugh Freeze is not that dude.
They're not going to get Peyton Thorne played better than he has, but Oklahoma's defense is good, really good. Their offense again leaves a little bit desired, but at the end of it, they came out on top. That was a winnable game for Auburn at their place, right? They didn't win it, and that's a week out. Then here's the thing: this is why you can't trust guys like Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze last week threw all the quarterbacks under the bus. This week, then he comes back as well. We've got to put these guys in a better place to win. Really, where was that last week, Hugh? Where was that last week? So now it's your fault after the whole world was like, hey, whoa.
After Lane Kiffin roasted him too.
Yeah, absolutely. So he didn't have his best week either.
No.
But he's fine. He's not going anywhere unless Florida pays him, $15 million. Yeah. But he's fine. But you just can't I don't know if they'll let go of him. But the thing is that if you want to talk about a booster group and a fan base that'll pull the pin out of the grenade before they're ready, it's Auburn.
I don't think they'll fire him this year. I think that they're going to probably tell him, I bet you see a large chunk of money come in, and they go after a high-caliber quarterback, a priority, and if he can't get it turned around next year, he's gone. And if it's looking the way things are looking right now next year, about halfway through the season, I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone at that point. But I think Auburn figures a way that they're going to kind of force his hand, and you're going to see him throw a lot of money at, I don't know who it'll be, but it'll be like one of the top quarterbacks in the portal, and they're going to try to make a push. But this is good. I think they won't fire him this year. He's going to get one more shot. But if he can't turn it around by the end or half of next year, he's done, dude.
Yeah, absolutely done. Absolutely done. And they do not care. They're not worried about that. They'll figure it out. And for better or for worse, that's been them.
One coach that you brought up last week when you were talking about hot seats was Brent Pry. And we saw how things unfolded with Miami on Friday night. Virginia Tech was there. Hats off to Cam Ward for just making some elite plays and really getting that win. But did that kind of heat things up for Brent Pry, or what do you make of that situation?
I think that he is going to have an uphill battle. He's not been there that long, so maybe he can lean on that. But that was a game where they were up by 10 on the road and ran a fake field goal. And after that, Miami found themselves again.
Yep.
So instead of kicking that field goal to go up 13, now Miami's got the ball. And while I admire the Stones to do that, those are the kind of things you do when you're a little bit better than they are right now.
Right.
And so, yeah, that was a really bad coaching decision, and they shouldn't have done that. Now, granted, if it worked, it'd have been like, yeah, that was probably the riskiest thing, but Miami was on their heels. The thing is, I don't think Miami was ever really on their heels in that
No, they were
game.
just finding them, so, yeah.
And here's the thing about Mario Cristobal. When you give him a lead, like a substantial lead, I saw a couple of things in that game where I was like, okay, well, here he's in a close game again, all that. But for these other games, you know how to, like, get rid of, bad, tight game decision-making? Don't play tight games. Or you have Cam Ward, who just goes out there and does what he does. Legitimate Heisman candidate right now. He was fantastic. He made one play that was ridiculous and probably also ill-conceived, but it worked. He was about to get sacked on the drive where they scored the touchdown to take the lead, and just threw a chest.
Should not have gotten off.
Just threw a chest pass to his tight end and got down inside the, I think, to the 1 or 2.
He was like the 3, yeah.
Yeah, like right there, knocking on the door, because Virginia Tech had him dead to rights. But the thing is that it kind of reminded me a lot of Baylor, Colorado, that, Virginia Tech did everything they had to do to win, except that,
finish.
It's like finish. And look, they almost did. But again, just like Travis Hunter made the play at the front of the end zone, the Miami DB didn't falling to the ground, didn't give up on any of that, and made sure that the ball was moving and that it was, nobody was going to come up with that thing for sure. And I actually think it was the right call. I don't think you could, I couldn't believe they called it a catch, for one.
Yeah.
I was like, well, how? Because it was all right there on the back line.
Yep.
And to me, it looked like the guy who was back behind him out of bounds was the one who caught the ball. And then when they signaled touchdown, I was like, oh, there's something we're not seeing. And then they showed the replay, and the ball's moving the whole
around,
time.
yep.
Yeah, that was the right call. Although, and I never thought for 1 second that Miami wasn't going to get it, right?
Yeah.
There was never a point where I thought, oh no, Miami's going to get this. I knew that they would. I never thought that West Virginia was going to be in any kind of trouble. West Virginia, that Virginia Tech was going to be in any kind of legitimate place to say, that was ours.
Right.
Now their fans will forever.
Oh, they will.
But, that game. But for Brent Pry, and look, again, it's kind of the same thing. Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders, had the chance to do it, then do it, right? They didn't do it. But really, really happy for our old friend Kyron Jones, who's
had a hell of a season.
He's having a good season, and he's really fun to watch. And he made that throw he made another throw right before that I thought was gorgeous. Just a perfect, rolled out, threw off the plant leg really well, but jumped up as he threw it, and it was just on a frozen rope. Yeah, he played really well. They just don't have the depth or the amount of playmakers that Miami has right now.
No, not at all.
I think their arrow is pointed up, but Brent Pry's got to stop losing games like this.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe you give him another chance and let him figure out to not do those things, but that was a big deal. And then finally to bring it back around to Dave Aranda, this was kind of a completely different thing where, I thought a lot about the UCF game last year. They've played some really exciting games where they fought their way back into it. And it's great that he and the staff can coach their way back into these things. But the issue is they keep finding themselves in this spot. They don't play from ahead very often. And then a week ago, they lost from ahead. They had the come from ahead loss, right, that you have sometimes. And those are the things that are going to weigh on Dave Aranda and going to weigh on this, because more than likely they're going to go up to Ames this week and lose. Now, I'm not saying they're definitely going to lose, but
more than likely.
Iowa State's going to be a decent favorite in that game. Iowa State is a much more complete team than Baylor is right now. They're better on the fronts than Baylor is. And they don't.
They just got scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just got a scare from Houston.
Yeah. A 1/2 scare. Yeah. But yeah, a scare nonetheless. They just pitched a shutout, though. So that should be concerning. Shutouts are hard no matter who you're playing. They won a game 20-0. They can bloody their knuckles with anybody. And Baylor historically has not won a lot of games at Ames. You know, it's a hard place to play. And you can't, they can't win at home. They have all these tough places to play on the road. The math is not working out for them as it goes on. And if they're 2-4 after this week, that means they've got to be 4-2 the rest of the way out to get into a bowl game. Mm-hmm. Not impossible, but not the easiest route that they've left themselves. They needed to have 4 wins at this point of the season because the back half was going to get tougher. Mm-hmm. And they're not in the right spot. And if they keep, again, if they come back home in a couple weeks and, you know, fall behind 21-0 again, they already don't have the crowd support as much as they need it. And rightfully or wrongfully so. That's your own personal thing about how much you think you can emotionally get into a thing. But
I mean,
when you're down 21-0 at home, it's hard to get back up into those things. When you're not winning at home, and the only games you're winning at home are Long Island, Charlton, and Air Force in the last 2 years, that's not good.
No, that's kind of like where I'm at with this. At this point, this is what it is. And I think everybody's kind of seen the writing on the wall. And you know, you hate to make any drastic decisions. You would hate to lose a recruiting class and everything. But I mean, it's the broken record every year with this team. It's the same issues you're always talking about. And about this point in the season, everybody's kind of gets disengaged and is tired of talking about it, tired of dealing with it. And I mean, I hate it, but at some point, man, you got to make a decision and you got to kind of think about everything at hand. And I just don't see things getting better with the current situation. I don't. I think this is what it is. This is what it's going to be. And if you're happy with that, then cool. If not, then you can make a change.
Yeah, I mean, it's in a different spot right now than it even was last year.
Yeah.
Because the goal line moves in these situations.
And you've made so many changes. You've made so many changes, and it's the same crap over and over again. So what else can you do?
You know, they needed to come out against BYU and make a statement early that last week was over. In that first quarter, they lost the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was 21-0. They had to fight their way back.
And I know you had a lot of people out, but still.
You can't fall behind 21-0.
No.
You can't fall behind 21-0. Bottom line. When we come back, what is the Big 12? What is it right now?